Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on this wonderful Wednesday for another YouTube video. Allincrypto here, and today we are going to talk about Cardano, and it's hard not to when so much came out of the Cardano 2023 Summit. We've covered a small amount of it in the last video that we made relating to Cardano. We looked at partner chains, which are very exciting, and we also recapped on what really allows all this to be possible, and that is Ouroboros with its resources, or its resource really, of stake pool operators. One of the reasons I'm such a fan of Cardano and have continued to be a fan of it despite all the kind of backlash that it may have brought is Ouroboros itself. Ouroboros is a truly special protocol. It's a truly special consensus mechanism for operating, validating a blockchain. And the reason it's so special is because Cardano was one of the first people to realize that actually we can use the layer one's resources to essentially do the same thing for the layer 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, wherever we end up, and all the kind of side chains, roll-ups, partner chains that come with it. So it was very much ahead of the curve in that regards. And on top of that, we're now starting to see a lot of that come to the forefront. And it would be absolutely rude for me to talk about some of the things, and we're going to continue to make videos on what was brought out of the Cardano Summit, but it would be really rude of me not to cover Midnight, which was probably one of the top topics that was most abuzz. And I think that had to do with a lot of things, but I think one of it, because it is a very exciting project, as you'll see as we go through this video. You know, we've done multiple videos on Midnight before where we have looked at it from a kind of technical point of view, how it works. And then we've done videos where we've actually looked at why it is going to work in regards to get adoption, because privacy and blockchain are two things that need to happen, certainly in regards to what Midnight is trying to do, which is develop enterprise adoption. You know, you need that privacy option, certainly in regards to internal companies, etc., etc. So what we're going to do in this video is we are going to be playing a clip of Midnight's CEO talking about the project, and also revealing a surprise for Cardano holders. So without further ado, guys, let's dive into the Midnight CEO, introducing Midnight, talking about Midnight, and I'll interject at various points to add something to it.
Midnight is a fourth generation blockchain network.
I know we've only played literally a few seconds. I just want to interject. I have no idea what he means by a fourth generation blockchain. And if somebody could please explain that to me, that would be very much appreciated. You know, I don't think there is really such a thing as a fourth generation blockchain. I can get Cardano being a third generation blockchain. You had Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. But I don't understand this fourth generation thing.
We focus on data protection. What does that mean? Well, we use zero-knowledge technology to protect data and metadata. We have a shielded ledger that allows you to put confidential information on-chain. But we also have an unshielded ledger that allows you to put public information on-chain. That means you can mix both private and public information together, giving you selective disclosure. But protecting data is not enough. You want to also protect metadata. So we got a shielded token, you've probably heard of it, called Dust, that allows you to transact with privacy. But we all know that shielded tokens sometimes have a challenge getting to liquidity. So we actually have a second token, an unshielded token, to provide network liquidity and security. Together, working those in hybrid as well as dual tokenomics, you can get various use cases as well as multiple paths to ensure that you are both compliant with regulatory requirement and have the best of both worlds.
So for a lot of people, that's going to sound very complicated. You know, why have two tokens? And as somebody who's looked at, for example, Manta on Polkadot Network, this privacy concept is not a new thing. It's just something that Midnight may do very well at, certainly with bootstrapping the Cardano community to do that. It is really a bootstrap. But why have two tokens? Well, in a lot of the things that I've seen, if you've got a shielded token, there's often a way of unshielding it, kind of through like a deck swap, if you will. And I think that that's what's meant by having two tokens, a public one that addresses are public and anyone can see those addresses, and then a shielding one that's shielded through ZK. And the kind of liquidity is going to be with this, what is potentially going to be a airdropped public token to Cardano holders. That's going to give enough liquidity to swap in and out and get that, draw that liquidity for this security chain or this hidden chain privacy token to a non-privacy one.
But we knew that having a great blockchain is not going to be enough. There's a matter of adoption. So we talked with enterprises about what makes them happy to get deployed and working and building apps on a blockchain. Well, we've added capability to give you SLA. You can guarantee capacity and always know that you have access to the resources. We have the ability to provide price predictability, so you can budget and know how much it's going to cost to run an application on this infrastructure next year.
Very important. Having a way to predict fees is huge. Certainly when you're talking about enterprises, you know, people need to know what their costs are when they're looking at business models and things like that. You can't do that on a lot of, including Cardano, I believe. You know, things like Hedera have it implemented, but you can't do that on most chains. And certainly if we do enter an environment where you end up in a raging bull market, for example, you know, myself last year was paying like 250 quid to do things on Ethereum. Totally won't work. So this is actually huge.
And that means also that you can have a gas station that is not just an ad hoc conversion from fiat to tokens, but can give you a rate card. So you can actually use this blockchain like a cloud service, paying with fiat and accessing it like a regular cloud service that you're familiar with. This means that everybody can now access this kind of technology. You have a cloud service powered by a 4th generation blockchain network. Now, I started my career as a developer, and I know how hard is it to learn a new domain-specific language, and there's no shortage of them out there. Midnight wanted to make developers happy as well, so our smart contract language is based on TypeScript. And for the hard stuff, the zero-knowledge circuits, we've got Lego building blocks. And we've got the tooling like faucets and wallets and Visual Studio plugins and everything else that you need.
So developer friendly is huge. We're seeing a lot of blockchains now. Algorand recently announced the integration of Python in their algo kit. It sounds like both Midnight has a kit. These Lego blocks they're talking about will likely exist in the form of a kit, kind of like perhaps what Marlowe is doing. Yeah, Marlowe, not Mithril. There's so much going on in Cardano right now. It's hard to keep up, but it's huge, and we're seeing, you know, this is a very well thought out project, ladies and gentlemen, that I actually do think in 2024 you're going to see institutional partners with it.
So data protection, customer friendly, developer friendly. Charles just talked about his vision for partnership. Midnight is looking to be a partner chain to Cardano. A partner is, you know, both sides get something. It has to be a win-win. So we would like to leverage the ecosystem of Cardano to help us go to market and get to decentralized fast. In exchange, we will provide SPOs and exchanges with both new revenue sources as well as incentives. We will provide developers with use cases and a fund to help them create more interoperability between the networks. And as was shared last year, I believe everybody here is an ADA holder. ADA holders will get a token drop for Midnight, so everybody can get access to this utility.
So there you go. I'm not going to talk too much on what he just said there in regards to a drop, but that is certainly exciting. And I think this is going to be a way of them getting that liquidity with the public token. So I don't think it's going to be the private token that's going to be airdropped. I think it's going to be the public one. But I think how this is going to work, because with ZKs, they're kind of roll-ups have to basically be able to bridge from the public one over to the private one. And you're going to have like almost a DEX that's going to do this. You're going to swap public for private and vice versa. And that's how you're going to stay probably regulatory compliant, get the liquidity you need and everything in between. But let's just finish the video off.
Now, about a month ago, we opened up our registration for Devnet, and I couldn't be happier to see over 1,000 engineering teams that actually signed up for the Midnight Devnet. There's a little sign of a clock there. The countdown is starting because in 10 days, November 13th, mark the date, we're going to start onboarding teams onto our Devnet. And I know that some of you are going to be maybe disappointed because you couldn't get in on the first day, but trust me, we're adding more and more resources so we can have everybody both on Devnet, Testnet, and hopefully also on the mainnet.
Leave that there. We don't want to listen to him thanking everyone for being up there. But it's very interesting. You know, this resource of stake pools is a force to be reckoned with, you know, and actually it really leverages Cardano's Ouroboros protocol. Very exciting. Lots of great things coming for this project. Of course, it's not going to be too long until it's actually rolled out. Devnet, typically a month or so goes, and then you're in or however many months. I think this is the first Devnet, so it might take a little bit longer. And then you'll be into mainnet, and then, or testnet, and then mainnet, and then we'll see what happens. But I think this actually stands a very good chance of seeing institutional adoption. There will be benefits to Cardano. I know the controversy here. I think that Cardano was always built with this vision in mind, right? In regards to it essentially, not everything being done on the main chain. That's one of the main criticisms that's been levied on this. Why not do this on the main chain? Well, you know, it's kind of hard to, you couldn't have everything running on the main chain. Cardano is not scalable enough to do that. The scalability comes from being able to take things off chain, use the validator set, or it doesn't just have to be scalability, it can be privacy, use the validator set, and then have that bridges between them. I think actually very interestingly as well, if they've got the capabilities, and if it does end up working out that you have a public token and a private token, if there's a way that you can bridge properly Midnight with Cardano and all its assets, you could then take Cardano's assets, I think, maybe in the future. Hasn't been announced. This is just me thinking about where this could eventually go, because we have seen this with other networks and then look to do this. You could potentially take whatever Cardano asset and privatize that. So you could have private ADA, for example. But I'm not 100% sure if that's even something coming down the line. We'll see. I know other chains are working on it, but Midnight hasn't actually announced anything. But it's huge having a kind of privacy layer with everything it offers. So that's all I've got for you in this video, guys. If you've enjoyed this content, like us, appreciate it. So as a comment, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.